good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to With. No, not really, that's just the bad placement of my camera because this is a professional setup. Welcome to a game called Within, which is made by the excellent people at Crux Game Studios, as you can see at the wee bottom there. What? Oh, that's a Bible passage, isn't it? Goodness. Rather confused me for a moment, I do apologise.
I hadn't heard from my brother in over 3 months, which wasn't unusual. Nick tends to disappear for months at a time, not returning my calls, and then he surfaces again as if nothing had happened. I've gotten used to it. I don't blame him, considering the childhood we had. I've read somewhere that siblings with shared traumatic pasts tend to grow apart faster when they're adults. Then, last night at around 3 a.m., he left a voice message. I heard it when I woke up a few hours later.
Maya, I hope you're okay. I know I haven't been in touch, but I just wanted to let you know. You may not hear from me again. For a while. I don't want you to worry, though. I'm in a spot of trouble, but nothing I can't handle. I'll figure it out. Whatever you do, don't come looking for me. I'll call you when things are right. I know I haven't said this enough, but I do love you. Always have. Goodbye, Maya.
I must have called him dozens of times, but there was no answer, and then his phone was switched off. I took the next available flight out early next morning. I didn't sleep a wink on the plane. I kept thinking about what kind of trouble he might be in. As soon as I landed, I checked into a motel and then took a cab to the last address I had for him. In the pre-dawn light, the city seemed to grow more decrepit the further in I went, like a thing whose core was growing rotten. I don't know what kind of trouble he's in, but when we were growing up, after Ma died, when it was just the two of us, he'd come to me when he was in real deep and needed saving. And I would save him.
Well, that was a far better beginning than I could have given the game. Man alive. So, I believe, I didn't realise this had voice acting in it, but,
I should get this over with quickly. I'll find him, make sure he's okay, then head back. I'm already missing a day at work. Let's see, he should be at apartment 405.
05, right then. Left-click on objects in your surrounding to interact with them. Righty-ho then, thank you very much. So, yes, indeed, yes, it would appear to be their first game with voice acting in it, and they've blown it out of the water on their very first attempt. They seem to have got themselves a couple of very professional voice actors
Trash
to
in
work
the corridors. Classy.
Only the best in these scummy apartments. One day I want to play a video game that's got a lovely clean apartment in it, but that game probably won't be a horror game, and there won't be an awful lot of point in playing
Looks like it
it.
hasn't been emptied in days.
Must be students living here. Right then. This doesn't seem safe.
Whose bright idea was it to leave this open? A child might fall in.
I mean, if they can survive the fumes from the rubbish, then and not fall over all the other rubbish over there, then, you know, they're probably quite sensible already. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yes, so yeah, as you can see, they've sort of moved on, it seems, from making visual novels as they began with Umbra Mortis and so forth that they made originally, where I first discovered them, and they've moved into these more sort of slightly more, I don't know, I don't want to say sort of traditional or mainstream, but these sorts of types of sort of first-person horror games. And
Looks like there's a pipe busted up in there. It isn't a good idea to move this scaffold. It looks flimsy. I should just find another way around it.
oh, what there? Goodness, I wasn't looking in the right direction. I do sincerely apologise. I've been stupid again. Yes, this seems to be the sort of their new area of expertise, and so far they've been doing it very nicely. Why is this number all wonky? What,
Maybe it's because it's 4:30 in the morning, but this place is creepy. I don't know. Probably gets alive later in the day.
Probably in all the worst possible ways. Oh, there's a different door. I am suspicious of the nature of that door. I can't run, which is a bit of a shame, given how far back it is. But, yes, I don't know what door that handle was, shaking on, or twisting on, or turning on, or whatever the correct terminology is. It might have been that one, or it might have been this door, here. Oh, I see, this goes to the stairwell.
I bet this building breaks every municipal code in existence. I could get this open with a hard push, but I really shouldn't be wasting time. I need to find Nick. I should get to apartment 405.
Yes, I apologise. Yeah, to be honest with you, if we gave this a hard push, the whole building might fall over, so, let's be on the safer side of the stability, or lack thereof, more, pertinently, of this building, and, not do that. Yes, lovely to see an indie horror game with a bit of professional voice acting in it. It is a bit of a shame, though, because it means I can't pretend to be a voice actor myself by doing the reading, but never mind. Judging by all the verbal stumblings I do in an average video, it's probably a good thing they have somebody proper doing this. Goodness, it was a little scary. Alright, it doesn't appear to be anything over here, apart from more detritus.
Hello?
Goodness, it's so dark in here I can't even see the subtitles. I was about to say, was that a cat?
Huh, where'd they go? There was someone just here.
Yes, but I think it was actually the shadow of a man's head. A bald man, specifically.
Well,
Right.
this is it. I should just ring the doorbell, see if he answers. Although if he's been drinking, I don't have much hope.
Oh, good. Is this the doorbell? This looks more like a light switch to me. Maybe it's just Ria's asset. Hello? I know it's the middle of the night and all, but I have come for a visit.
I guess he's either not home, or he's sleeping off a drunken binge, which would not be entirely surprising. Maybe I should just try to open the door and let myself in.
Or we could use that, that much spoken about shoulder of yours and bash the door down as we were going to do earlier.
Gosh, what is that smell?
Well,
Nick? Nick, are you here?
looking at much of this stuff, I think I can guess. Right then. Sorry, I was just looking at the brand names, because you know what these little indie games are like. They love to use assets that
There's
don't
gotta be a light switch somewhere.
that don't quite infringe copyright, but skirt the line very, very carefully. So, do I have to walk into the darkness in order to find that? Because I'm not seeing it. I do spy a note on that door there. Is that a light switch? It's a small grey block. Oh no, there it is. I think that's actually like a roll of toilet paper or something. Well, at least that's the bathroom, which ridiculously is the cleanest part of the room, even though it should probably be the other way around. But never mind. No mirror either, which is a little strange, but never mind. Alright then. Where's the light switch for the main room? What does that say? Do not open. Go back. Alright, fair enough. I'll wait until I've got the light on. Don't know what the hell I'm whispering for. Seriously, where is this light switch?
There's gotta be a light switch somewhere.
Shock horror. It's right next to the door where it ought to be. Dear,
How is he
dear,
living like this? This is terrible.
This is actually I've just realised this apartment is about as physically tiny as it would be possible to have, without it literally being a student room. But it doesn't even come with a bedroom or even a bed or anything. Alright, I mean, that's obviously the thing I'm meant to be looking at, but this is the thing I want to look at.
Right, like this is gonna keep me out.
Well, in any other world it would. In any other world it wouldn't. Dear, I know. You're not here to see me play games properly, you're here to see me push boundaries and do stupid
Nick,
things.
are you in there? Are you okay? Open this door.
Or thinking about it, actually, maybe this is the bedroom. Because what else would it be? Because it's already got a bathroom and what could laughingly be called a sitting room. What do we have here? Is this a picture of me?
Didn't know he kept this old picture of Ma. This was taken maybe a year before she died. Before the cancer started turning her into skin and bones.
She looks like a nice old lady.
When Ma got sick, he was 8 and I was 15. We watched her waste away and die from cancer. We never knew our father. No kid should have to lose both parents so early. We moved in with Aunt Sheba after that. She mostly left us alone, so I had to pretty much raise him. Or at least I tried. I did the best I could, but hell, I was dealing with my own demons. I guess I made a pretty poor substitute for Ma.
That's dark. Dark and very sort of human and relatable, which really is what these developers thrive on.
Why can't he get a bed like a normal person?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he probably doesn't have a great volume of currency flows if he's living in a place like this. So I would question why there's a CD player on top of the oven. But never mind. Maybe that's not a CD player, but goodness, it looks just like every CD player from the early 2000s, if I remember my numbers correctly. Yes, at least he's not sleeping on the sofa.
Looks like he's literally living out of a suitcase at this point. He told me he was making money on a freelance web development gig. Was that all a lie? What's he doing with the money he gets?
Well, he must be paying his rent and paying for food and stuff, but just not quite enough money in order to buy an IKEA cupboard.
I guess I should find some other way to get it open.
What, like the shoulder? I mean, I wouldn't be wholly against seeing that. That would probably be rather an entertaining view. All right then. So perhaps I need some form of device in order to get it open. Some form of a tool, perhaps. I'm not going to make my usual joke about that word. So perhaps back where they were doing that bit of construction or the scaffolding, perhaps there is a sort of a crowbar or a hammer or a mallet or something. No? Oh, all right. Then you don't want me to go back. All right. So it must be in here then. Somewhere. There must be something, perhaps a key or perhaps a tool.
Well, there you go. Looks like he's fallen off the wagon again. Oh, Nick. I sometimes think if he hadn't had that accident, if his best buddy Alex hadn't been killed, things might have turned out different for him. He was 16, driving home from a party. Alex in the passenger seat. Nick had no business being behind the wheel that night. He was drunk out of his mind. Alex was killed on the spot. Nick survived, but he could never forgive himself for Alex's death. With Ma gone, I was supposed to be the parent, rein him in. But I was a teenager myself, barely holding it together. I should have been tougher with him. I messed up there. I guess I neglected him when it mattered. That's on me.
I mean, in a situation like that, it's impossible not to blame yourself, but at the same time... I don't know what it is at the same time. I can fortunately say that I've never had a run-in with a drunk driver. But, my brother was once involved in a very serious motor vehicle accident, which, was very traumatic for all of us, but
Would it hurt to clean up a little?
Well, perhaps. I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be anything we can use amongst the detritus.
The first thing I'm going to help him do is clean this place up. That alone should bring some positivity to his life situation.
Yep, you have to confess, clean place does lead to a cleaner sort of thinking, at least it does. In my experience. Good afternoon.
Hello? Nick, are you in there? Quit playing.
There's a little face there, can you see that? I seem to have been standing in the perfect spot. Just there. It is a little face. Is it? Oh no, I think it's actually a light.
Jeez. Hello?
Oh, here we go. Oh, goodness.
Hello? How did this door open?
I don't know. Is there a light switch, please? There was no money spent in here because all of it was being spent in here, he says, not being in frame. for
Well,
most
at
of
least I know
that.
where all his money's going. But where the hell is he?
I see. Minds think alike, I see. Alright. I'm guessing these are like, judging off things like that, I'm guessing these are sort of like heavy metal album posters or something, although that looks more like a horror movie.
I see his taste in music hasn't changed. All the death metal and occult stuff he was always into. He used to be a kid who loved pop. The heaviest thing he listened to was like Metallica. When he hit his teens, everything changed. It was like his personality flipped overnight. He began to sink into this dark place. Started hanging out with the kind of kids who spell trouble. Got into weed, alcohol, and then harder stuff. At some point, it was like he became unhinged. He talked about renouncing God and worshiping spirits or some such thing. I tried to talk sense into him. It felt like every conversation we had escalated into an argument. He kept telling me he couldn't wait to leave and live on his own.
Well, I don't mean to be an armchair psychologist, but there is a certain, bloody hell, are these things real? They are shockingly detailed. There is a certain sort of logic to that in the sense that, sometimes when people have gone through traumatic experiences, they begin to sort of reject everything that they associate with that period of time in their life. Can I crouch at all in order to get a better look at that? No, I can't, which is a shame. But I'd rather, wouldn't mind getting a better look at that. Wouldn't mind learning to speak the English language either. That'd be kind of cool. So I can sort of understand his rejection of everything that he knew. Right then, this one looks very, very advanced and rather expensive. What? Oh, I can press buttons, so I can. USB slot.
Your standard issue USB slots.
Yes, I'd worked that much out on my own. They're not technically standard because they're 3s instead of 2s, but that isn't the point. Maybe they're becoming the standard and I'm just outdated. Alrighty then, what do we have here?
A USB drive? Let me see if I can find one.
What? How? Hang on a minute. Boot disk secret set to
A
external
USB drive?
Oh, I see.
Let me see if I can find one.
Some would put the I wonder the some would program their computer to be dependent on having a USB drive to boot it up. I didn't even realize it was possible to like export the boot sequence on a computer into the into like an external drive. I thought that was just driven into the main hard drive. You have
Random
your OS.
drawer junk. Nothing useful.
Or not even that. It's just included in like the main drivers and software for your motherboard.
Nothing useful here.
What do I know? I barely even put this computer together, so I certainly don't have the faintest idea what I'm talking about. Alright, well here's a couple of USB... That's not a USB drive, Phil. That's a hard drive. That's a pen. Highlighter. That's the word I'm looking for, and I'm failing to find.
This could be it.
Indeed. Oh, that's a rubber, isn't it? I thought that was another USB drive at first. Actually, I thought it was an SD card reader originally, but never mind. I don't think this is a real console. If it is, it certainly isn't one I've ever seen before.
He used to love these consoles growing up. He'd spend hours locked into those games. I guess it was an escape for him after Ma passed and we were living at Aunt Sheba's. The worst period of our lives. He was such a quiet kid back then.
Goodness, sounds a lot like me. Except instead of this, it was like, I don't know, 100 years younger than that is. Alright, let me see if I can plug this wee thing in here.
Maybe this will
There
do
we
the
go.
trick. Let's see if it works.
Alrighty then. Hooray, it's all working now. Okay then, let's see what secrets we can find upon the computer, and hopefully not find anything too wry, shall we say. Play log number 1, what is this? I finally got it all set up. The Sandbox OS, a heavily... Can I move this? No, I can't, which is going to make it slightly difficult for you to read it, and I apologise for that. I should read it for you. I was kind of running around not getting the opportunity to do that so earlier, so I should probably seize the opportunity and stop nattering. A heavily secure modified Linux variant running on a VPC. Virtual PC, perhaps? The game contained within. This may be overkill. I'm pretty sure when maybe is... Oh, you can't see this. They've written maybe with one word. Pretty sure in the case where it's written like that, it's 2 words, but never mind. It's better to be precautious considering the rep or urban legends around this game. Oh, good, a creepypasta game. The single exe file, not very cleverly named, with no instructions. To think it took me nearly 6 months to track it down on the dark web. Oh, that's where it's coming from. That means it's even safer. At least you're doing it on an isolated computer that isn't connected to anything else. The things I had to troll through to find it, I don't think I can ever unsee them. I can guess what half of them were. I don't have much hope of humanity anymore. We're broken beyond redemption. I'll continue taking notes in these text files. If this game is the real deal, it'll make for interesting reading. I could edit it and put it into a Reddit post, maybe. Maybe do an accompanying video playthrough. That would be a cool way to start a gaming channel. I've always wanted to, but never got around to do it. It's easy to start a channel, but not easy to consistently put out content. I admire those who do. With the track record of starting projects I eventually abandon, I think I know how that'll end up. Well, that's one of the good things about it, isn't it? It's not like writing a novel where you have to stick at it and consistently work on the same thing for years and then you inevitably given up, as I have on many occasions. At least it's little chunks that you can do a little bit more piecemeal style that's a bit easier to do. Anyway, first things first, I have to get the game to work. It keeps crashing when I click it. The law says that it works at random, you just have to keep clicking. The code is probably corrupted. The urban legends around the game are fascinating, if not profoundly disturbing. For example, a guy who played it, and then it seems like the rest of the file has been corrupted. Alright then, shall we see if we can get the game to run? Oh, I think we're going to play a game within a game. How exciting. Oh dear. Kidsy on, this looks a lot like the usual kind of stuff I play. Well, this is an interesting change of pace. If nothing else. Not entirely sure why a little sort of indie horror game would need to be published on the deep web. I feel like itch.io is quite accepting. I found some rather crazy stuff on that website, so believe you me when I say it's rather accepting of the weird. I mean, for goodness sake, they accepted me onto the side, didn't they? There's something on the wall there, some sort of glyph or something. Seem to have a little presence there, yeah. Hello? Is anyone in there? Presumably not, and of that I'm grateful, because I don't really know what sort of person would be living down here amongst all of this detritus and filth. But it would probably be a person who looked a little bit like that. That's been reversed, hasn't it? I recognise that distortion of speech. That's when you reverse speech. Oh, you opened the door for me. Thank you. I was about to say you're having a very bad hair day, aren't you, my friend? But then you did something nice for me, and I wanted to restrain the urge to insult you. I do wonder what it's saying. I sometimes wonder whether these things are reversed, whether they're it's just like normal speech, just like a normal bit of dialogue from like an interview or something that they've reversed for the sake of making it sound creepy, or whether it is actually something creepy that they've written themselves and recorded themselves, and then they reverse it to add additional levels of creepitude. But we shall find out. Another locked door. I do spy something on the far side of it though. Some little speck of light of a different colour than what else we've seen. Alright then. I like the sort of atmosphere that it's got, what sounds a bit like sort of the wind blowing. Oh, there's no roof in this place. Goodness, that would explain why the wind is blowing, because we're outside. I do apologise, I was under the impression that, is that trying to say demon? Goodness, someone needs to study their penmanship a little bit better. Yes, that would explain why we can hear the wind rushing over the walls of what seems to be a little maze. Hello again. Will you open the other door for me if I come up and nearly give you a kiss? Yes, you will. That's most kind of you. Dear. It's been quite a long time since... Hello. How are you today? Can I help you with something? You standardly dressed cheap jumpscare? Dear oh dear. Oh. Ow, blast. I was rather enjoying that. Alright,
Wait. That file wasn't there before.
Indeed. Goodness, Lapland, welcome back to the game. What with all this dark web stuff going on. Alright, Alright, so this is the next day. I got it to run. First impressions, it was creepy, but mostly crappy. A grainy, pixelated PS2-era walking simulator. I hate walking simulators. Why do people make them? Well, because they're relatively simple and straightforward, and, not everyone can make Batman Arkham Knight in a day. But, The game's also unstable and has crashed 4 times already. Good thing I sandboxed it. It's chewing up OS files and then randomly spinning them back. How is the OS still going? It's lost system folders, everything on the desktop, including my play log text files, and even the recycle bin. Goodness, it'll be after the kitchen sink next. The game has no credits, no title sequence, no save or load. Again, just sounds like a standard indie horror game, but never mind. After every crash, it randomly teleports you to a different level. Oh, how exciting. It was hard to find. I had to trawl through loads of fake leads. I would have given up sooner had I not believed there was some truth to the stories. I finally stumbled upon the game by accident, following an anonymous link to a file dump on an Onion server. I found that it missed a bunch of people who have posh accents but can't speak. For crying out loud. I found it amidst cryptically named zip archives, many of them full of unspeakable images. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, they do say a picture speaks 1,000 words, don't they? The myth of the game, which I pieced together through sifting through volumes of hearsay for slivers of truth, suggests that only one copy can exist at a time, and that it selects the player by allowing itself to be found by those seeking it. Well, that's certainly a more advanced bit of programming than your average itch.io developer will give, so that's good. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. It is said to be birthed in the dark web, that seedy underbelly of humanity's worst impulses, forged not by human hands, but by an unknown force. As I spend hours digging through this, the old compulsions are exonerably returning. Dark thoughts, guilt, a craving for alcohol. I've started drinking again, and it is impossible to resist. The symbols in the graffiti are pre-Sumerian? Don't know what that means. Suggesting an ancient entity, like a greater demon that latches onto its hosts. Perhaps more disturbing of all is the notion that it can make a mouse run across your keyboard, hitting far too many keys and far too quickly. Alright, that's curious. Sounds a bit Lovecraftian here. Alrighty then, can we get the game to run again then? I'm presumed to get teleported to another random bit of it, which is an interesting way of doing things. Oh, we're here again. I'm beginning to wonder whether this might actually be piles of rotting flesh rather than anything else. We did not get to espy the man's genes once again. This is a tragedy. Alright. I find the descriptions of the dark web a little bit interesting. Because while there's a lot of stuff on the dark web that is genuinely very disturbing, and there's a lot of very illegal stuff, shall we put it as that. While I've never been there myself, I've had the good fortune to observe some other folks wandering around on it, and it's interesting to see how some of it is just very internety, in the sense that it's just a load of random weird stuff that doesn't really belong anywhere else. And not all of it is actually as dark and scary as people say. Hello again, idiot. Who are these? Some photographs of some people.
What the hell is this?
Is one of them my brother, perhaps?
Nick!
Oh, well, good chance I happen to click on the right one. Ah, for goodness sake. System failure, restart required.
I'm pretty sure that was Nick's photo in there. But that makes no sense. I've got to get this game going again.
I'm just going to poke around for 2 shakes of the lamb's proverbial tail for the sake of making sure that no moths have appeared. Who turned the light off? Stop being environmentally friendly, honestly. Stop it at once. Also, the one at the bottom does have a door. Thank goodness for that. It also has a vent, which is excellent for letting fumes waft away. Right then. No, it seems like the coast is absolutely clear. Oh dear, it's all melody and nasty. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right then. Maybe we get to the computer running again. There we are.
Jeez, that scared me. Just the lights. The electrics here are falling apart, like the rest of the building.
Yes, it's almost like being at home. Alright then, never mind none of that. I've also realised there's no radiator in this room, and I somehow doubt it's got underfloor heating, and that's meant to be a radiator, but that looks more like an air extractor if you ask me. So, that probably means this room was dreadfully cold as well. Also, no windows. So, yeah, this place really wasn't very pleasant at all. But dear, oh dear, oh dear. All right then. How are we getting along then? Do we have another file? Yes, we do. We always seem to have the odd-numbered ones, which is a little strange. Alright, same day, June 24th. Getting worse. Growing signs of malevolence. Waking nightmares. Oppressive thoughts. General malice. The scariest of all military generals. An intense craving for defilement. Weird sounds from the other room. Voices. Footsteps. Shifting shadows. An hour ago, the webcam turned on all by itself and took a picture. Oh, I see. Yes, I was wondering how under the sun the game would actually get sort of new pictures of players to put it in, because presumably that little lineup of images were previous players of the game, and I was wondering where it was getting them from. But of course, if there was a webcam tied to the computer, then that would be a good way of doing it. What would be a nice, interesting touch is if the game could somehow interface with your own webcam if you've got one plugged in order to actually take a picture itself and sort of save it somewhere that you'll find it when you finish playing the game, just to freak you out a little bit. I think that would be a nice touch. Right then, I was able to identify the entity from the symbols in the graffiti. Balnagin, LKA? Yes, that's definitely how it's spelled. AKA the ill spirit of grief and guilt. And Megan, the lesser god of... Oh, how absolutely, positively charming. He's the entity from Deakin, possibly the only demonology wiki with some authenticity. A greater demon from pre-biblical times, first worshipped by the Legini sect in then Sumerian. I'm going to pretend I've got the faintest idea what you're talking about. Presumably his knowledge of the occult and stuff comes from his tastes in music, judging by all of the the posters around the room and stuff. Presumably that's where his knowledge is coming from. Requiring human sacrifice, feeds on fatalism, guilt and grief, manifest in the recurring nightmares of killers, in the lust regret cycle of sex offenders. Really, I didn't realise they felt regret. In the dying word I've never seen before in my life, I sincerely apologize, I'll look that up later, of dead men walking, in the guilt borne by family members of suicide victims, in the PTSD of war survivors, in the haunting dread of good people gone irrecoverably wrong, a vile parasitic being that consumes those with who it selects. Sounds like a positively pleasant person, if you ask me. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I thought at first there was no point to the game, just walk around from A to B activating shrines, but the simplicity could be deliberate. The pattern of the symbols, the piles of refuse and filth, the writing on the scrolls. The scrolls? What scrolls? I didn't see any scrolls. Who's been stealing scrolls from me? It's positively unpleasant. All of it suggests an invocation. If so, the point of the game may be to simply complete it. Have I made a terrible mistake? What have I awakened in the deep dark? The game is trying to do something naughty. Well, that's just like fun on a Christmas bun. How can you crash? You haven't even begun yet. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I was wondering why I was always running the first time I tried to play it. Do you mind? You know, I can't keep the nice people waiting, you know. I have things to do, all of us. Right then. Here we are again. At least we have a roof this time, which is more than I can say of where we were before. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Sorry, I said... Maya? That's the name of us, isn't it? The protagonist? I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. All the voice editing distracted me and I forgot to mention it. But yes, I believe our protagonist is named Maya. Good afternoon. I'll come back to all of that in a sweet second, if you don't mind. Oh no, that's like a shadow. Sorry, I thought it was like a hole in the wall and I was looking through. I think it's actually some sort of reflection of my light, actually. Perhaps that might be what that is. But yes, I believe the character's name is Maya. All right. Well, there's what possibly looks like a door, or possibly another sort of sigil shrine thing. The scroll. This is where they were keeping all of those secret scrolls we were talking about. Right then. At least that makes some semblance of sense. Yes, just to go back to what I was saying before I got interrupted twice by other things. Thrice by other things that were more interesting to talk about than the rubbish I was going to talk about. No, I was just going to say that I got a bit of a flashback to the back rooms when I saw this environment initially, which isn't at least in my case a great thing, given that I'm not a massive fan of that particular little creepypasta. Not because it's overly scary, for the fact that it's overly simple, but perhaps there's another scroll down here. Yes, right. There we are. I didn't want to leave this area unexplored. A, because I wanted to see if the spooky man was there, and also because I wanted to see if there was something here. Did they make all of these images themselves? They're very professionally put together. Very, very nicely designed. It seems like they're not just good writers, they're also good artists as well. Although maybe that derives from their background in visual novels, because of course in visual novels you need to write your own, or draw your own images even. Well, not necessarily use someone else's images if you want to, but I believe that all of the images in the visual novels by this... Hello Kitty, hi. Crying out loud. Yeah, it's like walking into an office to speak to your boss. Yes, if they have like a team of good artists to Kitty up the maniacal grin to draw nice pictures for their visual novels, maybe they wanted nice pictures for this game as well. Right. How are you? Oh, did she? That's nice. Oh, that's good. I haven't been there for years. Right, I haven't got the faintest idea what he's talking about. Oh, there's a door here. I didn't need to stand here getting traumatized. Oh, I could just walk through here. Thank goodness for that. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Hello again.
Maya, help me. Please. You have to help me.
Nick?
I'm scared, Maya. It's awful here. Please, help me.
Get your aunt.
That was Nick's voice, I'm sure of it. I'm gonna get this PC going again.
It's not broken the second time, is it?
Hello? Is someone there?
Go hide in the bathroom, I feel safe. I mean, I don't, but you know. Didn't even have a toothbrush ball sold. That's a nice effect. I like that. Let me just
It's
get
too dark
the
in
light
here.
on.
I should get the lights on.
We think alike. Well, what we've learned is that if you have a very spooky apartment with lots of spooky things going on it, things will start jumping out of their skin. Including what I presume were a packet of potato crisps. Yes. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, the demon's having a wee shower. I really shouldn't intrude. However, I must ask it a question. Oh, it has gone.
Nobody. But that's impossible.
What, in a video game from the dark?
Nick. But his face. What is happening to me?
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I really can't get a word out edgewise in this game, can I? Which I don't mind too much, but goodness. Yes, my question will have to remain forever unspoken. Alright then. This picture has changed.
Oh, that's awful. How could the picture have changed like this?
Rather spooky pokey. I mean, goodness. Certain big events have happened while I was playing video games, and, you know, they've gone past me without me noticing because I was so ingrained in what I was doing. But, goodness knows I can't shut the door. I'd feel vaguely safe if I could do that. I think I'd notice if a demon came into my room. At least I hope so. One would hope, but there's no way to know. At least we've got an explanation for why the computer case is so girthy now. It needs to fit a whole human in it. Alrighty then. Log Number 12. I saw Alex today. He was there, in the apartment, standing by the far wall. He looked the same as he did as I saw him all those years ago, on the gurney in the morgue on the day of the accident. His body was dead cold, his eyes wide, and his face split open. Despite his horrific wounds and the odd angle of his neck, he was somehow still alive. He called out to me. He was grinning, and I saw the hatred in his dead eyes. I survived the accident, even though I was the one drunk and driving. I was flung out of the car and came unhurt, except for a few scratches. He wanted me to follow him. I begged him for forgiveness, but I know it's too late for that. There can be no redemption for a man like me, and I must go after him. I have no choice. First I have to call Maya and warn her. I have to tell her to stay put and not come looking for me. Because I know Maya, she'll come looking if she doesn't hear from me for too long, and ringing her and saying you're in trouble and telling her not to come looking for you is a brilliant way to prevent that from happening. You silly Billy. She still feels responsible for me even after all of these years and blames herself for my failures, even though she absolutely shouldn't. If only she knew that she is the last good thing left in my life. The reason I'm alive is because she saved me 1,000,000 times already. But she can't save me this time. Not from this. And I can't let her get hurt if she comes here. Ah, so he was actually planning on her, or at least preparing for the eventuality that she might arrive. Alright then. I found it surprising that he kept playing the game. Frankly, I think I'd have just burned the computer to the ground at this point. Alright, there seems to be a locked door up there, and a locked door over there as well. So, what's that? Oh, is that another shrine that I can activate? By, staring longingly and lovingly into its eyes. No, it seems that all of my powers of persuasion have failed us miserably, and we must instead go for a little walk. Alright then, it looks like there's another scroll down here, and with a bit of luck, getting it will open the other doorway, and that should be all 4 of them. Alright, I should like the next Elder Scroll, please. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's like if Lovecraft did dinosaurs. That's perhaps a little bit what it might look like. Alright, looks like indeed this door has opened. Alright, I was wondering whether one of the shrines might light up, because there's another one on the other side there. I was wondering if you picked up the one on the right, whether the right shrine would light up. And then my brother would turn into Spider-Man. Kitty yarns. Yes, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Where am I looking? I can't even see what I'm doing. I'm getting slight sort of Tolkien vibes off of it as well for some strange reason. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know his work tremendously well, but dear, this could be quite a legitimately fun little game on its own, even without the association with the main story of the actual game here. I think someone needs a throat lozenge. Either that or just a clip round the ear. One or the other. Kitty,
what the hell was that?
Nick! Wait! Nick!
Oh dear. Someone's been doing a bit of painting. You know what I've just realised? This began to occur to me. The bathroom's still lovely and clean, which is tremendous. I was wondering about this earlier, but I wasn't convinced, and I didn't want to say it for the sake of sounding like a madman. But this place is getting dirtier, isn't it? And I don't just mean the walls are covered in filth.
Nick!
Yeah, I'll get to Nick in a minute. Stop shouting down my luck holes, madam, please. Yeah, the place is literally getting dirtier with, like, detritus on the walls, scratches on the floor, and extra bits of trash here, there, and everywhere. Are the crisps still floating? Yes, it's good to know that something in this world is constant, even amongst all this change. Right then. Good to know this room is still nice and clean then, if nothing else. Right then, well, I don't think we have anything to, anything that we can use to distract ourselves from. We have to continue. I do notice the meaning of the note on the door now. Nick must have left that there for me to try and scare me away if I came looking for him, so that I wouldn't discover the computer and all of the horrors that reside within its code. But we shall see. You know, if I'd been him, I'd probably just bought like a knackered old second-hand laptop to play that thing on. Hello? You're there to fix the pipes in the ceiling. We'd all much appreciate it if you did that. Instead of playing it on some sort of purpose-built gaming computer, but,
Nick, stop! It's me!
must have a little bit more money to throw around than I initially realised. Alright then, it seems he's gone down the stairs. We shall have to follow him. Presumably he got the door open. The strong shoulder gene must be strong in this family. Everything else seems... I was going to say everything else seems fine, but, you know, I just had to open my big fat mouth, and fate immediately said, "Ah, you're tempting me. Allow me to smack you in the chops for that." Crikey. I rather enjoyed that. That was a nice touch. Alright, the question is not whether he's gone up or gone down, because they put a little blockage here in order to stop me going up, so that I don't waste my time. I'm grateful for that. It keeps the pacing a lot more consistent. I was just about to ask whether those were my footsteps, then might as well try to stop moving, and suddenly I realised they weren't my footsteps. Can I go through here? I don't think so. There might be a door there.
Maya, I'm down here. Come quick.
Crying out loud. That one got me a bit better. Goodness, I think he's meant to be some sort of goat demon, but from that image, I think what are horns on the top of his head look a little bit more like big bunny ears. I got a bit confused then. I do sincerely apologise. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Alright then, let's continue down. Is it my imagination if we come down a lot more than 4 floors? I feel like we should be in like the sub-basement by this point.
Come on.
Alright, I'm going as quick as I can.
For you, Maya.
Oh, I'm waiting.
Where are you?
I'm up here. Would you wait a
We're
minute?
all waiting.
Got a bit creepy all of a sudden. Oh dear. I spy some tootsies. Don't complain to me about me tardiness, mate. Complain to the game developers. They didn't give me a sprint button. Oh dear. I reckon this is the end of the road.
You can't save me, Maya. You never could. Even when we were growing up, you couldn't even protect me from myself. The accident, Alex's death, my miserable life, all of it could have been different. If only you'd done what you were supposed to do.
Who are you? What have you done to my brother?
Do I need to run away at this moment in time? I don't see I've been sidled into by a demon. So now I've been kissed by a demon. This date is going well.
Sometime later, I found myself back in the apartment. I couldn't remember how I got there. There was no sign of Nick, or the thing that had looked like him. And his computer would no longer turn on.
Probably for the best.
I did the only thing I could. I filed a missing person report and flew home. It's been 6 months since then. I've tried every possible way to locate him, but there's been no word from him. I keep thinking about the thing I saw at the bottom of those stairs. The thing from inside the game. When it came at me, just before its awful malevolence could engulf me, something or someone stepped between us and shielded me. I think that's how I got away.
I was wondering about that.
I think it was Nick who saved me.
Pay you back for all the times you saved them, huh? Well, that's nice. I rather like that. There's a couple of different ways of ending things like this. You can end it with just a jump scare and everyone's dead and that's the end of life in general, or you can end it with a nice happy resolution. But my favourite way to end these things is to end it with something a little bit creepy and mysterious like that, which is leaves a few things unanswered. Right, I rather enjoyed that. That was actually really, really good. A lovely sort of blending of different things. There's a nice balance between the walking around and doing stuff, both within the game and within the apartments, and also the narrative, which was blended quite nicely, because usually in these games, or these sorts of games anyway, you end up with either too much story, which sort of bogs down the game, or so little story that it seems almost like it's just been tacked on and it's not really necessary. So they skirted the balance there rather nicely between narrative and gameplay, and they kept it nice and fresh while having the apartment that you could wander around, and also the game that you got to play. So I rather enjoyed that. That was very good, very, very well told in terms of the story, very professional voice acting, a nice sort of relatable and human story, which is rather difficult to do when you're going to go into like creepy dark web territory and haunted games and demons and stuff. So it's very difficult to keep that sort of relatable. But the more human bits at the beginning, when they were talking about the childhood traumas, were very very nicely put together. So yes, I very much enjoyed that. Another excellent installment in the chronology of the things that these developers have put out. They always produce something good, and that's why I was very very pleased and excited to see that they had released a new project. So thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. I had a blast playing that. Look after each other, and good night.